Today we're going to look at setting up Procapture in the OM-1 camera. We go into the menus and it's set one of the menus but on page 7. So we've got to go all the way across to page 7. There we have the drive mode at the top, which is where we activate Procapture, but first of all we've got to go to sequential shooting settings to set up Procapture. So we select that. Now to use Procapture at its full level you have to have an Olympus Pro lens. If you don't, you can use Procap, which is at a slower frame rate, but I've never used that, so we're going to look at SH2, Procap SH2. First of all, make sure you keep this box ticked, else it won't appear in the menus. There's an arrow over to the right telling us we need to go to the right hand side. On the top line, max frames per second, that can either be 50 frames per second or 25. I always keep that on 50. The pre-shutter frames, this is how many pictures it's going to keep just before you press the button. I always keep this at 25, and there's a nice handy graph down here that shows 25 pictures before you press the button. You can change this number to anything between 1 to 70, and it's very easy to spend too much time thinking about what the number should be. I think about it like this. The camera is running at 50 frames per second, so those 25 frames takes half a second. From the point I decide I want to press the button, I've got half a second to do so, and it doesn't take me that long to do it. The third line down, frame count limiter, I keep that off, which means the camera will keep running if I'm pressing the button until the buffer is full. You can change it and set a limit, so if we set it to 50, we've got a nice handy graph there that tells us we are going to get 25 pictures before we fully depress the shutter release button and 25 pictures after. And you can change these numbers, but I really would recommend just keep it off. Now having set it up, we have to activate it, so we go back through the menus up to the top line of page 7, the drive mode, and here is where we can select Procapture SH2. You've got to scroll down, it's over to the right, we select in Procap SH2, so now it's active. So when you half depress the shutter release button, this symbol appears in the bottom left hand corner of the picture that you're taking. That tells you that Procapture is running. The camera also makes a whirling sound, rather faint, but it's there, so you know that it's running. Now, although I mostly use Procap SH2 at 50 frames per second, I do occasionally use Procap SH1. That gives you 120 frames per second, but without continuous focus. It just focuses on the first frame. The pre-shutter frames I've got set to 33 for no particular reason, but that still means I've got just over a quarter of a second to press the button from when I decide I need to. That is still more than enough time. The frame counter, again, you can change it, but I keep it off.